Howdy, y'all, and welcome to the MrMaple Show. We've got a special treat for you today. One of the most memorable moments, I think, in mine and Matt's trips to Japan was visiting Nakata-san's nursery and spending time with him and seeing Nakakamado weeping. And so today, Matt and I have Nakata-san and his daughter Ayaka, and we are going to be talking a little bit about Nakata-san, his nursery, and our famous trip to Nakakamado weeping.
That was my favorite thing I've ever seen. And since I've been doing Japanese maples, that was the pinnacle. Mm-hmm. That was the best. I can't imagine ever seeing anything cooler than that. You know, at least a 400-year-old tree.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, America's not even that old. That's like you stand next to something, you're like, wow, this has been here through history. And that was just an awe-inspiring thing. When we were on the TV show Nippon ni Ikitai, and I'm probably saying that wrong. Y'all can correct me. But they were so cool. They introduced us to Nakata-san, and when we were shooting B-roll, one day it was raining. We were translating his with Google Translate on your brochure, and it says we're about an hour and something drive from the National Treasure Tree of Japan.
Right.
And immediately Tim and I lit up because we'd heard about this before. And I asked through our translator to you, I was like, is this possibly a Japanese maple? Because I've heard of this like legend of this plant, really. And he was so cool. He took us on our day off. They were shooting some B-roll in the rain, and we got to go over there and see this tree. And I mean, I could have cried. It was like something. It was just to see something that big, and that just that historic. I mean, it's been.
Yeah.
I don't know of an older tree in the world for Japanese maples for what I do, and certainly not anything that ornamental. Like that had, you know, the weeping characteristic, the fall color. It's just my favorite ever. So thank you so much for that experience, because that was special.
Good to hear that.
So you grow old Japanese maples at your nursery that are just immaculate. Sometimes they're used at temples, sometimes they're used all around because of their beauty, their age. It was amazing to see in your place in fall color.
Explain to our viewers a little bit about what you do at your nursery and what it's called.
Okay, so we have nursery called Nakada Nursery in Japan. So we have lots of Japanese maple trees, and we sell them to like parks, temples, a lot of places in Japan. So some of them very old, and some of them very cool. Yeah.
It was so cool because they're just the choicest trees. Like you're looking at the best of the best. Like they sell like one of specialty plants too, and so it's like mature, older. It was so cool to see. When we got to go to your place, it was great fall color too.
Thank
and
you.
I just remember, oh my gosh, like it was so cool to get in there. Tim and I are already, you know, kids in a candy store on this trip. And so the TV show wanted to catch our reactions to everything. So they didn't tell us where we're going. And so they basically told us not to look down your main alleyway that had so much fall color that we walked through on the show.
Yeah.
We kind of made this walk up with you. And so Tim and I are the whole time just like, you know, we didn't get to see it. Then they just like, okay, now you can go look.
I actually handed the cameraman one of our cameras, and I said, "Can you take a photo of me and Matt?" And Matt and I like stood like side by side, and we have a photo that we use all the time when we do speaking presentations that we hand out. That's actually a photo of Matt and I at your nursery when it's in fall color.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Did your father start this nursery? How long has it been going?
いつナースリー始めた？
あとね、
何年前？
65年前。
65 years ago,
Wow.
his dad started
That's
our
cool.
nursery. Yeah.
Me too. But my dad was a hobby. It's not quite as big, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to have that in common. It's that place was amazing. I hope to return one day. That was so beautiful.
Yeah, please.
And that was such a fun experience. Now, again, one of my favorite things is that you took your time to take us over there. We had a translator with us. Basically, the TV show was like, don't lose these guys because they're crazy and they want to run around and look at everything. So they're like, hey, don't lose these guys. So had he not vouched for us that he wouldn't let us run off in oblivion, they probably would have never let us out of their sight.
And he drove us.
True.
We were trying to drive and get a rental car to drive out to see Nakakamado weeping because it was so special. And they
Producers weren't having it. They're like, we'll lose them. We've paid for them to get here.
Oh my God.
They'll get lost. But since he vouched that he would take us, we were allowed to leave.
And the day we went to go see it, it was just in perfect fall color.
It's kind of a misty, foggy morning, so it was like the perfect setting.
Right.
And it was amazing to be able to see this in this kind of habit. Nakata-san what was your first experience in seeing Nakakamado weeping?
中かまどを初めて見た時の感想、経験。
いやー、すごい、特にこう、幹、がすごい。
It was so impressive, like especially the shape of the tree. It's so unique. There's nothing like that.
As soon as you see it, you see all those twists and curves in the trunk, in the branching.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, there's nothing else quite like it. It's just contorted and
Yeah, that's incredible.
Is it a tree you've known about your whole life? Is it something you knew about as a kid? How long have you known of this plant?
Okay. 初めて見たのいつか。
10年前。
Like he saw Nakakamado tree for the first time like 10 years ago.
Wow.
So it's not so long ago. 他にNakakamadoみたいな木はあるか？
いや、ない。
That's so special for him. Yeah.
That was so much fun for us, and it's something you don't forget, seeing something with that kind of age to it. I mean, I just think of the earth. I think of how, like I said, America's 400 years old. Like the changes in time since this tree was planted here in this spot. Like we're standing next to a piece of history like that, and that's for me, that's way cooler than a monument. Like this is a tree, right? It's living. It's been alive this whole time.
I mean, it's considered one of the national treasures of Japan, and it's such a beauty. And the thing that makes it so special is that age. The fact that it's not just a typical green upright. I mean, there's something to the fact that it's got that age, that beauty, but it's got that contorting habit. It just twists and curves. And I've never seen anything else like it. And I know that is one moment, and I just can't thank you enough for taking us to go see that, because it's one of the most beautiful trees I've ever seen.
Good to hear that.
Now, another thing we got to do that was just one of my favorite things I'll ever get to do in Japanese maples, was another highlight of my entire career, was that you took us into the mountains and into the woods to look at how Japanese maples were growing natively. And then we came back to your nursery and we recreated a similar viewpoint to that in the garden. And it was just such a learning point for me. It was so fun to go and look at how, I mean, we went in near a river where the maples were along the river banks, and we looked at how the river came through, and Nakata-san so eloquently explained to us, just this is how the nature works here, and this is how Japanese maples look natively here in Japan. And it left such an imprint on me. I mean, a lot of times as Americans, we kind of plop in trees as lawn darts, and then you end up with a setting, and it definitely made an impression on me for going forward in future gardens. And that was just such a fun thing to get to have someone with your level of expertise explain to us, this is what it should look like natively here too. So it was really cool.
Since some of the original episodes began airing, you had already started building some Japanese gardens. You had already started, creating, these mats that people can use for Japanese gardening.
Right.
I know that the King of Bhutan showed up
Yeah.
and asked you to come build a Japanese garden. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
ブータンで庭作った時の経験を話してくれる。
ブータンは日本政府に頼まれて日本庭園を作りました。日本の庭そのものではなくて、ブータンの風景を日本の枯山水で表現しました。
The government asked for him to create Japanese garden in Bhutan, but not like traditional Japanese garden, but like for Bhutan, for like recreate Bhutan nature in the garden. So it was cool experience for him. Yeah.
That was super cool. I love the children's park too, where the kids were playing. That was so cool.
Yeah, the like kindergarten. Yeah.
No,
I can't thank the TV show enough for bringing us together. It's been a fun friendship. I'm so glad that y'all got to come over to America now too. That was just such a fun experience for us. And another thing we got to do, I would say all of our highlights from the show, a lot of them were visiting him, but getting to eat the
Ishikawa beef.
Ishikawa beef.
Good to hear that.
Oh my gosh, that was special. That was a lot of fun. We had a cookout right there, and They prepared all kinds of food, and we just had a big party. It was a good time.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for that. That was like amazing.
Thank you.
I would say of our trip, spending time with you between building the Japanese garden, when it wasn't even shooting, and we got to go visit Nakakamado Weeping, when we were getting to see how Japanese maples grew in nature in the Fukushima prefecture, it all just, you know,
Those things meant a lot to us.
it did.
Wow.
And we really can't thank you enough.
Thanks for being here. We're going to take you around, hopefully show you some great stuff while we're here. And I'm so glad you made it to the U.S. to visit us here in North Carolina.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, y'all, I hope that you've really enjoyed today's sort of conversation with Nakata-san, getting to see a little bit about, you know, some of the experiences we had with him in Japan. And thanks so much.
Take care.
God bless.
Have a great day.